Yeah, so basically, a lot of us here are security experts, deep, in audits every day, kind of down in the details. All we really see from the media is when things go really badly in the blockchain space, all of the hacks, the headlines. And so what I wanted to do with this talk was kind of take a more wholesome view of how things have been going, and what it's like for a protocol in the space to try to not get hacked. So basically what this talk is about is basically, I went through, this is exactly 6 months from today, and looked at what the projects in the space looked like on that day, and took every single one that had 10 million or more of TVL across any chain, any type of protocol. First, couple quick caveats on it, or actually, here's all the protocols. So literally everything out there from last October, and said, okay, how did these guys do in the 6 months that followed? And what did they do in terms of bug bounties? What did they do in terms of audits? How did they fare in terms of hacks? Like, how has this space really been playing out? So a couple quick caveats before we get into it. A lot of this data is from DeFi Llama or Immunify or projects GitHubs. Every one of those data sources, could be missing data, or DeFi Llama especially, you self-select to put your own TVL on there. A lot of the TVL is double counted, all of that stuff. So take it all with a grain of salt, but hopefully this can be somewhat of a helpful kind of overview of what's been going on in the space the last 6 months. So to start with, bug bounties. As Mitch just showed, bug bounties are awesome. We love bug bounties. At Sherlock, we basically require every single protocol to have a bug bounty. We pay for their bug bounties. We love bug bounties. So how many of these basically 339 protocols have implemented a bug bounty program? Does anybody want to guess what % have a bug bounty? 1%? Not bad, not bad. About 40% have a bug bounty. And that's, well, actually I have it on here. Immunify, HackerOne, SlowMist, Hats Finance, Hackin. A lot of them have self-hosted bug bounties on their GitHubs. I'm sure there's some that I wasn't able to find because, they're, some of them are pretty hidden, but 40%. So actually, probably not that bad. How many of those 339 protocols, 10 million plus in TVL, do you think have gotten an audit? It's pretty good. 83% are audited. Not bad, pretty high, 283. That's pretty good adoption, pretty good pickup, I would say. Who are the people going out and doing these audits? Who's actually out there? A lot of auditors are here. Who are the ones that are talking to most of these protocols, auditing them? Who's the representation of the space? Anybody want to guess who the most, well, actually, we'll get into that in a second, but of those 339 protocols, there are 97 different audit firms that have audited them. And that's not including individual security experts who also do audits on the side, and a lot of core teams will do their own audit or kind of put that out there. So these are all audit firms, 97 across 339. Who are the most prolific? Anybody want to guess who has done the most audits in the Web3 space? Certic. 29% of all the protocols that were audited in crypto were audited by Certic. 81 out of the 283 that were audited out of that 339 total. The leaderboard looks a little bit like this. So Certic, PeckShield, SlowMist, QuantStamp, TrailBits. That's your top 5. I think Open Zeppelin might have been number 6. But as you can see, 74% of the audited protocols in the space have touched one of those audit firms. So pretty interesting. There's a couple of audit firms out there doing a lot of big things, and then there's a bunch, 97 others that are also out there helping protocols. What about insurance? Sherlock does smart contract insurance. We kind of marry audits plus insurance. Insurance does not have good take-up. Less than 0.5% of the total TVL and DeFi is insured. We'll come back to this piece, but this is probably like the least pretty one of the bug bounties, the audits. The insurance space has a little bit of work to do. So does anybody want to guess, out of those 339 protocols, in the last 6 months, since October 22nd, 2021, how have they done? How many of them have gotten hacked? 15%? 6.2%. 21 have been hacked in the last 6 months out of all those that were 10 million plus in October. Probably not that bad. Probably not what you would think by looking at CoinDesk or the media hype around all the big hacks. So not bad, but 21 protocols in 6 months is not great either. 659 million lost out of the 253 billion. That 253 billion is the starting number, so that could have grown. I think it actually shrunk since October. But at the point of time of every hack, it's 659 million of lost funds of that cohort of protocols. Obviously, new protocols came along in the last 6 months, grew a bunch of TVL, potentially got hacked. So again, this is not the full data set, but I think it's a decent cohort. So in terms of bug bounty, if a protocol had implemented a bug bounty, it had a 3.7% chance of getting hacked. So basically, out of the protocols with bug bounties, 3.7% of them were hacked over that period. If you did not have a bug bounty, you had a 7.8% chance of getting hacked. So that's about 2 times more likely to get hacked if you do not have a bug bounty program of any size, of any implementation, versus having one. So I think that's pretty cool. Shows that Mitch and Immunify and all the other guys out here are really onto something and doing good things for the space, I think. But I'm gonna not read into it too much because now we're going into audits. If a protocol had gotten an audit over that 6-month period, their chances of being hacked were 6.4%. Versus no audits. Again, this is just data. This is not me putting any sort of opinion on this stuff. You had a 5.4% chance of getting hacked if you did not get an audit, but you had a 6.4% chance of getting hacked if you did get an audit. Again, not what any of us probably want to see here, but and I don't know what the takeaway is. When I was looking at the data, a lot of the unaudited protocols were forks of, Uniswap, Compound, Curve. And so, they didn't get audited, but they were kind of using code that had been very, very battle tested. So I think that could be an explanation. And then potentially, the quality of audits can vary widely, very significantly between audit firms. I think we all kind of have seen that. So maybe that could be another issue there. So on the insurance side, if you had decided, I'm going to take all 339 of those protocols and I'm going to insure 10 million at every single one of them, and I'm going to be the first loss. So if there's any loss, if there's any hack, I'm paying it out. If you had done that across all 339 protocols, you would have paid out 6.8% of what you were insuring. So that basically translates to, you want to add in a little bit of extra, premium for the stakers or whoever's contributing capital, but you'd be looking at around an 8% price of insurance. Obviously, that's pretty high. And if you're getting 2% on Aave, 8% is probably not going to cut it. So that's not great. So again, in that same setup, you're paying out 6.8%. If you're only taking protocols that had done a bug bounty, they had a live bug bounty, and they had gotten at least one audit, then you're paying out 2.6%. So significantly better, significantly more reasonable, and that gets you to about a 3% cost of insurance. And again, if you're in a low yield environment, maybe earning 2% on Aave, 3% is actually too much. That's not going to cut it, and probably no one is going to buy that insurance. So to kind of summarize some of this talk and what I think Sherlock can do better, what I think the space can be focused on the bug bounty side, that 40% take up, it seems pretty clear that bug bounties are pretty helpful to the space and do prevent a decent amount of hacks. And so I think on the bug bounty side, ideally we would be increasing that 40% take up. And I know, a lot of the bug bounty firms out there are doing everything they can to get that closer to 100%. Sherlock is actually doing that as well. We're the only entity that actually insures bug bounties for protocols. So if you want to have a $10 million bug bounty, you can actually have one at Sherlock, and you just pay like a monthly premium. So getting the take up on bug bounties is going to be, according to the data, could be a great way to keep the space safer, to keep losses lower. Audits, it's a little bit less clear on this one. You have a 6.4% chance of being hacked if you got an audit versus 5.4% of no audit. I think either of those numbers is probably too high. We want to be getting, the chance of getting hacked if you're even on chain to below 5% in any case. And again, it's probably making sure the quality of security experts is high, making sure we're going out there and doing everything we can for protocols. Sherlock is very much deep in the audit space, and we require every protocol that we cover to have high quality audits. We also do a lot of audit work ourselves with Watson, some of which are in this room. So I think there's work to be done on the audit side as well. And then of course, the insurance side is, probably performing the least well of the three, and there's a lot of work to do there. We need to get the take up, significantly above that 0.5% level, and we need to get the pricing even further down. And basically, why Sherlock exists, what we get excited about is we are really going super deep on the curation of protocols and helping them understand what they need to do in order to stay safe on chain, get the audits, get good security help, get their protocol moving in the right direction. And so we think we can get that pricing down to 1%, 2%, and there's a few other things that I think can get that even lower over time. And that will be something where the take up of insurance can, easily climb 10, 20, 30, 40% pretty quickly once you get the pricing to the right level. And once you really set a standard for what protocols need to do to get covered and to be able to get that price range. So that's basically it. Just a quick journey through the last months of being a protocol on chain and what it looks like from a security perspective. Happy to answer any questions you guys have on that data set or any of those numbers. Do it. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things going on in the insurance space. There's approaches selling directly to users. Nexus Mutual's been out there doing that for a long time. I think the pricing is really difficult because, again, they're charging around 3% for any protocol, and there's probably protocols that should be getting a much lower rate than that. There's probably protocols that should be getting a significantly higher rate than that. So I think on the user side, it's tricky. Or on the pricing side. And then in terms of Sherlock itself, we work directly with protocols. And so it's all about building awareness, having them understand why it's helpful to have insurance and why they should be going through the, it's not easy to build a protocol in a way where you should get a 1% sort of insurance cost. So I think there just needs to be more awareness. We need to do a better job, and all the other insurance players need to do a better job of making sure we can keep users safe.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, when you were factoring in the audits, Were they a single audit or more than one audit?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the cutoffs for that data that I showed was just for single audits or more. It did not discriminate between protocols that had gotten one audit versus 4 audits. I think 1inch had gotten audits from 10 different audit firms. So there's obviously a lot of variation there. But yeah, so if you had gotten one audit, and again, there's so much detail that this is glossing over in terms of, was there an update after that audit? How much of the code was updated? Was the exploit, if there was a potential exploit, was that part of the updated code, or was that code also a part of the audit and the auditor could have caught that? There's a ton of sort of nuance and detail that you would want to know to have a more accurate understanding of that.
I think we can have one more question.
It's more of a point than a question. You showed the numbers about audits and about bounties, but they both reflect the same thing, how much confidence someone had in their protocol. Because if I have complete confidence in my protocol, I put out a high bounty, I have nothing to lose. And it's the same thing. I don't need to go out for an audit. Maybe I cloned the code from someone who had an audit. So I'm not sure how much to read into these numbers. Certainly it's not causation, but also I think both numbers reflect just confidence in the code.
So you're saying the bug bounty number should be closer to 0 if you're super confident, or no, it should be very high because you're super confident, so you put out a big bug bounty.
Yep.
If you're also confident, then the audit number should be closer to 0 because you don't think you need audits.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's, there are probably protocols out there that feel that way. Hopefully we can change their mind on that. Yeah.
These analysis publicly, because I'd love to see the breakdown on how effective the insurance proves deeper analysis into audits and how they break down. Is this something that you intend to share with the community?
Yeah, I think we can share the data set. It's needs to be cleaned up a little bit, but I think it can be pretty helpful. And I would love to work with you on getting more intel on the bounty side of things as well. So we'll see what we can do there.
It's already, everything is live on YouTube. It's all been streamed. So that part is there.
Yes.
What the data set behind it.
You might want to see the data set behind it as well to check a couple of those numbers.
Right? We've been getting a lot of those questions about presentations. Will they be shared? So we will be requesting the speakers to share their presentations or any of the data, and we'll see how to make that work as well. We do have time for, I think, one more question. Right?
Cool. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.